Hey everyone! So for today, I'm going to be reviewing the Maybelline V-Face Contour line. I believe these are made for you to create a more contoured look in a short amount of time. Well, that's what I think it claims because it says in the back, smaller V-Face look in a NY minute. I believe NY minute is New York minute, so I guess in like a super fast time. There are 3 products that I saw in the counter and I bought all of them, but I'm not sure if there are other stuff. So I have the Duo Stick, the Duo Powder, and the Duo Blush Contour. Okay, so I only have foundation on my face right now. I didn't put on concealer yet because I'm not sure if they're like highlighting stuff here. So yeah, this one is the Duo Stick. I'm gonna start off with this. You can only see the shade when it's still sealed with the plastic. You could only tell what shade it was because of the colors that it has here, but other than that you wouldn't know what shade it is unless you look at the shade here. This is in the shade Light, so I'm going to try the contour side, and it actually looks like a lipstick. Lol, but it's really for contouring. I'm not really a fan of cream contours because I have oily skin and I'm afraid that it might slide everywhere, so I'm just going to apply that where I would normally contour. I kind of like to extend my contour a little bit underneath my cheekbones just to emphasize them. I know that people normally just like to put their contour up to the tip of their eye, but I like to emphasize my cheekbones and that's just how I do it. I also like to contour here just so I can kind of put shadows here. I'm still gonna contour here even if I have a small forehead because it's relatively round, so yeah. Also on the sides of my nose. So upon application, I noticed that it glided on very smoothly on my face. I had no problem at all when I applied it. I noticed that sometimes cream products tend to tug on your skin and they're very hard to glide on, but this one glided on smoothly. So I'm just going to blend that out with this damp sponge. You can use a brush, but I just prefer using a sponge. It's very easy to blend, and I noticed that it doesn't have that much pigmentation in it, so this would be perfect for those who are just starting out with cream contour because it's very forgiving. It gave me a very subtle contour, but I might set this with a bronzer. Oh wait, I think it comes with a bronzer, so I'll set it with that in a while. Okay, so now I'm going to set everything in with the Duo Face Powder. Okay, so this is how the powder looks like. It also comes in a V-shaped form. It has like a light colored powder and a dark colored powder mixed with it. So in the back it says that you have to mix both colors to cover your whole face and use the lighter shade to highlight your T-zone, your under eye area, and your chin, and shade along jawbone with the darker shade. So that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm just going to mix the 2 shades together. Very powdery, like a lot of products coming out. So I guess you should just dab it. But even if you dab it, a lot of powders like coming out. So yeah, that's just what I noticed. Tap off the excess and dust that in your face. Next, using a setting brush, I'm going to take the lightest shade over here and set my under eye area. Then I'm going to set my contour with the dark powder. It's very hard to get the powder with this brush without getting the highlight shade, but I guess it's okay to mix them even just a little bit. Okay, so now moving on to the blush, I'm going to take the blush contour, and it came with a brush. The brush is very stiff. Well, I never use the brushes that my products came with anyway. So I'm just going to take the pink shade right here. You really have to be careful with your brush because it might get some of the bronzer. Tap off the excess and it apply it to your cheekbones. Guys, the blush is not that pigmented. Actually, this whole palette is not that pigmented. So the blush is okay. It's not that pigmented, but it does have a decent amount of color in your cheek. So again, perfect for beginners. And the only thing that's bothering me is the bronzer. It's just like there, and it's so small, and you can't get it with any of your brushes. Like, I'm gonna try another brush. So this is one of my favorite contour brushes. And it's very hard to get. You can't really swirl it that much because if you do, you're gonna get some of the blush and it's bothering me. So if you're like me who gets bothered by those very little things, you might not want this. The bronzer part is so small that you really have to put so much effort in just getting that small part. Okay, so now I'm gonna attempt to contour. So the bronzer is somewhat there, but not the way that I wanted it to be. I actually should have placed my bronzer first before putting on my blush. That way it would have blended everything so much easier. So I'm gonna retouch my blush. I kind of lost it when I placed on my bronzer, and it's really not that pigmented. I don't really like this palette. I'm kind of bummed also that it doesn't have a mirror. I'm going to take this blending brush and take the highlight shade over here. I'm not even sure if it's a legit highlighter because it just has like glitters in it, but it's not very shiny. And in the back it just says illuminate above cheekbone with the light shade. So that's what I'm gonna do. It didn't really do much. Fail. Okay, so going back with the duo stick, I'm gonna take the highlighting side and highlight the high points of my cheeks. Also on the tip of my nose bridge, cupid's bow, chin. I don't really want to put in my forehead because it's already oily there, so no need to emphasize it. Then I'm just going to take the clean part of my sponge and blend it out. The sponge isn't really doing much of a good job in blending it, so I'm just going to use my finger, and I find that it's easier to blend. Okay, so I kind of like that. It gave me a glow. It's not very intense, but that's fine. You do have to be careful because if you apply this too much or in areas where you would normally oil up, it can be mistaken that you look oily instead of glowing. So you have to be careful. And yeah, I'm just going to finish the rest of my face off camera and I'll get back to you in a while. So I'm back. I just played around with my eyes a little bit. I usually practice my eyeshadow, and today I tried to practice my cut crease, but it really didn't turn out the way I wanted it to be. So if it's a little bit sloppy, I'm still practicing. And I use my new Makeup Geek eyeshadows. If you guys haven't seen my unboxing video, I'll leave it in the description box down below. I gave the pink sugar tint in the shade Vampy Vixen again another try. I don't really like it, but I'll still keep trying because sometimes I don't like a product at the start and in the long run I tend to like them. So yeah. So overall, I like this. Out of the 3 products that I got, I think this one is the only thing that I liked. It was very easy to blend. It applied easily. The highlight though is very subtle. I topped off my highlight right now with another one. It's from Pink Sugar also. It's in the shade Sin City. I just wanted to see how intense it would be with a highlight on top of it, and it did kind of intensify my highlight a bit more, but this by itself alone already gives you a subtle highlight. But if you have oily skin, I don't suggest that you should use a cream highlight because it might scatter all over your face and make your face look a bit greasy. The contour shade is very easy to blend and it's not really that pigmented, so I think this is very perfect for those people who are just starting out or who want to learn cream contour. And the V-Face Duo Powder, I didn't really like this product because you're supposed to mix both colors together, and when I tried to mix it with my brush, it kind of clumped up, like the powder so it was very messy, and I noticed the powder wasn't that finely milled. It's also supposed to set your under eye area. It kind of caked up a little bit. Like, you can definitely see some powder in your eyes, and it kind of settles in your fine lines. I also didn't like the darker powder shade, mainly because I didn't really see that it did much. Like, even when I swatched it on my hand, it just disappeared. So if it's meant to shade the jawbone, it didn't really do it. I think you can pass on these. These weren't really that good. So lastly, let's move on to the blush. I didn't really like this. For the product itself, I didn't like it personally. Mainly if this is meant to illuminate your face, it didn't really have a glow. Well, to be honest, the only thing that really turned me off in this blush is that the size is like very small for your brush, even the bronzer and the highlight, and your brush won't fit in this tiny contour thing, especially if you have like those rectangular contour brushes, and your blush brush is probably going to touch some of the bronzer, so it might mix up and your blush color might not be what you wanted it to be. It might have a hint of brown tones in it. There are other blushes in the drugstore that are actually better than the quality of this, and for the price, it's $399. I'm so sure you can get something similar with the price. So those are pretty much my thoughts on the V-Face line. Hopefully you guys found this review helpful on whether you should buy it or not. But again, these are just my own personal thoughts and opinions on my experience on these products. It may differ depending on your skin type. So yeah, thank you so much guys for watching. I really hope you found this video helpful. I try to make my videos as informative as I can, just so that I don't waste your time in my videos. And please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you in my next video. Bye! Peace out. Hershey, no!